Well, hi, welcome to ChessBase Workshop. My name is Steve Lopez. Thank you for joining us, clicking on that link to join us today. We've been talking in the last couple of ChessBase workshops about copying games from one database to another, also changing file formats, transferring games from one file format to another. It's all the same thing. To change from, say, a PGN database to a ChessBase format database, you just copy the games from a PGN database to a ChessBase database, and the games are converted as they're copied. I mentioned at the end of the last video that we were going to look at how to copy just a few games from one database to another instead of copying entire databases. And that's what we're going to look at in this ChessBase workshop. I'm going to give you a scenario, a reason why we would be copying just a few games. Let's say, just as an example, that I'm writing an article, a biographical piece on Adolf Anderssen. As if you've been watching these videos or reading my columns for a long time, you know that I'm a great Adolf Anderssen fan. In fact, sitting next to my laptop right here, you can't see it, but I have Sid Pickard's book on Adolf Anderssen sitting here close at hand. Excuse me, I'm going to write an article about Adolf Anderssen. Let's say that I want to include a database of Adolf Anderssen's games for download along with my online article. So what I want to do is do a search for Adolf Anderssen's games and copy them, and I want to put them into a PGN database. That way, no matter what software somebody's using, they can play through the games, or if they want to print out just some of the games from the PGN, since PGN is just a text file, they could conceivably print out just a PGN file and play through the games with a regular chessboard if they wanted to. So the first thing I need to do is create excuse me, a database of Adolf Anderssen games. So we're going to create a fresh database. We go to File, New, Database. Now I wanted a PGN database, so I need to go to Save As Type down here at the bottom of this dialog. Click on the little arrow, and the menu pulls down, and I can select PGN files, which is what I want. And now we need to give it a name. So we just highlight it and type in Anderssen, and we click Save. And now you'll see we have a new icon on the database desktop for Anderssen.pgn. Now we got to search for his games. I have a database here that I created. I've been using this in several ChessBase workshops, which are games from the classical period from 1830 to 1899. So I click on it, I'll right click and select search. And I was fooling around with this earlier. What I normally do when I do a search is I click reset down here at the bottom. That takes away all of my previous search criteria. Since I'm going to look for Adolf Anderssen's games, I want to select ignore colors. I don't care what color he was playing. And because when you do a search, it's last name first, first name last. First we type in Anderssen, and I'll just put an A there. And we'll click OK, and it will search the database and pull up his games. And it happens pretty quickly because it was a fairly small database, relatively speaking. And we wind up with about 700 games of Adolf Anderssen playing different people. So let's say that we want to copy all these games into that database that I just created. What we do is we can single click with the left mouse button on the top game to highlight it. We can right click, go to Edit, and go to Select All. The shortcut, by the way, is Control-A. That's the keyboard shortcut, which is what I normally use. I know the shortcut saves a little time. But you go here to Select All, click it, and you'll see that all the games in the list are now highlighted. You can right-click on any of them anywhere in this list now. Right-click, go to Edit, and go to Copy. And what that does, it tells ChessBase that you want to copy these games. Then we go back to the database desktop, and we click on Anderssen.pgn, and of course there are no games yet. We're going to fix that. We're going to right click, go to Edit, and select Paste. And what that does, all those games that we just told ChessBase we want to copy, we're now going to paste those games here into this new database. So we select Paste, and we get a dialog comes up. Game 1 through 714 out of game set 5. What that is, that's just my search that I just did. Game 1 through 714, that's what I want. I click OK, and it copies the games over. And now, with this database highlighted, we see we have games in it. These are the games that we just highlighted in our previous search. You can also pick out games from a game list. So let's, for example, go back to our search. Let's say we just want certain games. We don't want to copy all of these 700 plus games. We only want particular ones. So we can cherry pick them, and the way we do it, and this involves a keyboard, so you can't see my hands, so just listen to what I'm saying here. Hold down the control key and left click one time. I'm sorry, I was still remembering the previous search. Hold down the control key and left click one time on particular games, and you can cherry pick them off a list. You don't even have to do them in order. You can jump down here, then come back up here. As long as that control key is held down, you can pick out individual games. Then you can right click on any of them, select edit, copy, go back to the desktop, right click, edit, paste, and you actually get a little different dialog here. You don't get the one before. It just says copy 9 games from your search to your destination database, and if you want to do that, you click yes. I'm not going to do that because I don't want doubles in my new Anderson database, so I'll select no here. So that's how you cherry pick games. You just pick them out, just individual games in any order, hold down the control key, and just click on different games. Now let's say that we want games that are in a block, okay? And we can do this too. What we do, and the reason why I closed that game window where it had the notation is it doesn't work with a notation window open. The software thinks that you want to be in that window. So if you try to do this, it'll do things with the notation and it won't do things with the game list. So I closed the game notation. What I want to do is I want just the games that say Berlin Match 2. All right, so let's scroll down a little bit and make sure we get them all. It's the second Berlin match between Anderson and Dufresne. So we click on the first game that we want, and again, this involves the keyboard. Hold down the shift key, and with your other hand, unless you have really huge hands, you go over to your cursor keys, your arrow keys over on the other side of the keyboard. Or actually, you got a shift key on that side too. You could conceivably do it one-handed. But hold down a shift key and hold down the down arrow key, and you can highlight just the games you want in a block. If they all appear in a row together in the database, then you right click, select edit, and copy. Then go back to the desktop, right click, edit, paste. And now you get that other dialog again because you're copying games that are all together in the database rather than skipping around as we did a minute ago. So you want games 24 to 41, it's 18 games, sure, that's what you want. You would click OK, and it would copy those games into this new database. So that's how you do individual games from a database. You can either do a search and copy all the results of your search in as we did at first, or you can go in, either cherry pick games or take games in a block and copy them from one database to another. So that's how you do individual games out of a database, how to copy them from one database to another. Very simple. Next time around, I think, because I may change my mind, I'm capricious that way, I believe we're going to take a look at Fritz 12, and we're going to take a look at some things you can do with the chessboard displays in Fritz 12 in the next couple of ChessBase workshops. Unless I change my mind and we may do something totally different. It's hard to tell. But no matter what we do, we'll have another workshop for you next week. So until then, have fun.